Greetings, I'm Pillar Nexus C, and you're glad you're here today with Pillar Lips Tabletop Games. Today's episode, Shinkansen, Zero-Kei. This was one of the games I grabbed for the demo shelf at our game store. I'm not sure if anyone got a chance to try it out, so I decided to take it home and see how the game goes and if I'm going to recommend it. Well, the game is to have the most points at the end. To that end, you are picking up carriage cards for your train, trying to prepare the ground, lay the track, and build the station of the type that is valuable towards getting points, trying to participate in the Olympics, getting ready for that by building in the cities, having the cards for those as well. So, as part of the setup for the game, you'll prepare the tokens for the cities to show that construction has not yet begun. You'll have random tokens for the cities, for the Olympic venues. You'll have event cards based on the number of players. Certain colors are more used in certain numbers of players than others. Like for the green cards, kind of gold-like, but those get used more in the 2-player, 2 and 3-player. Blue gets used more. Gets used, period. And then gray is used primarily for the 3 and 4 players. Each player will have money based on the starting events. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 9. These represent yen. Although if you ever get actual coins, metal coins, in the form of actual yen to represent it, that might be another way. Each player will get one of the engine cards. There'll be a random turn order for the first turn. And starting with the last player in the turn order, they will pick one of the 4 available engine cards. Each engine card comes with an action that you can do by paying $2 to the bank, or 2 yen. You can use someone else's engine card by paying them the $2. And then regardless of whatever engine you end up with, everyone gets the same tell carriage, which is get 5 yen and move a station value token up the track. When moving these tokens, if you move one to the same space, it goes on top. The token on top is considered further ahead, which will matter for the end of the game. At the start, your train will look like this, and as you add carriage cards, you will scoot the tail carriage back and put the new carriage to the left of that card. That's how you'll expand your actions. So, starting with the first round of the game, since there's no older event to flip over, we just look at this one. So, at the top is the track pricing. A is where it's the cheapest, F is where it's the most expensive, but it's also the most points for laying the track at its most expensive. The second number is how many actions players get. You'll track what actions you've used for the turn with these tokens. You cannot use the same card more than once in the same turn. Finally, at the bottom is either an action that you can do for the turn or an end of the round special. If I had to guess based on the way the arrows are, I believe it reverses the turn order, which we'll get to. Once things are set up, starting with the player on the one space, they have to do the following. Pick a card out here. Spend money based on the top right. The cost of the card is based on its base number. So it'll be like 1 or 2 or 3. And then it'll show a certain city. Sometimes it might show 2 cities. Every city on that card that has a station increases the cost by 2. So if I'm putting my train on Tokyo and there's a station in Tokyo, then I'll have to pay 4 instead of 2. Everyone will have their chance to claim a carriage card and make sure that they've spent their money. So let's go ahead and go through that. Gray spending 1. Yellow spent 3. Green spent 2. Oop, I took the money from green instead of yellow. Green spends 2. Red is spending 2. Okay. If you ever can't pay for a card, you can use your victory points. You have to buy at least one. You have to buy a card, period. There is no contingency if, for whatever reason, you don't have the money in VP to get the carriage. Presumably, the game would assume you're going to make use of that action quite a bit if necessary. Also, one of the other things that helps you get money at the start of the round is every torch that you have on one of the venue spaces. But once everyone's claimed their carriage card, the unclaimed cards are discarded. And starting with the player on the carriage card closest to turn order, they get to decide where they want to be at the start of the next turn. If they go to space number 1, they get to move the station value token up. Space 2 or 4 gets them yen, 1 or 2 respectively. Space 3 gets them 1 victory point. So they'll claim their carriage card. They'll take their spot. And whatever their bonus is. They'll add the carriage card to the train. And then they'll have their actions to do. Alright. So some of the actions that will come up are prepare ground. I'm glad this event came up first because this lets me kind of demonstrate here. So the little hazard with X sign lets you prepare ground. You pick a space that still has a construction token. You pay the cost and get that many victory points. You'll also take the token as and flip it over to the track side and put it on your engine. So, by preparing that ground, it cost 1, got me a point, and now I have a track piece for later. That was one of my actions. I can lay track. Now, I don't have any current ability out here to lay track. I already used this one to go ahead and prepare the ground. But there is someone who's got an engine that lets them build track. So I will pay them the $2 to do so. The track comes from my engine, so I don't have to pay any further for it. Also, I have to pay the cost here as well. Since it's coming from my engine, I don't have to pay any additional cost, or pay the cost to anyone else. Just get my change, call it good. You can build the track from someone else's engine, but then you have to pay them that money. So I'm getting 4 points. Already taking a good lead on all that. And then there's building a station. So there's a little 3-color house, station, whatever. Okay. The cost of a station is always 3. There are some actions that'll show like a -1 that will let you do that for cheaper. So, let's go ahead and spend the 3 money. And with no idea what station we're going to make valuable, let's go ahead and throw out the gold. And put an action there. There's my 3 actions. Other actions you can end up doing. Again, take 5 yen from the bank. And then move up a station value. Put out your flame cauldron on one of the Olympic venues. And then do the action there. For free. Either spend the money to get 2 points, spend 2, or get 2 from the bank, or rearrange or relocate one of your cards in your train. One of the things you'll try to accomplish before the game is over is have carriages on your train in ascending order and have things built there. I believe it's stations and track, but let me make sure. So the city has to have at least laid track. If it doesn't, then it interrupts the sequence. Each city in the longest sequence of your carriages is worth 3 points. And only the longest one is scored. So, if we manage to have these 3 cards in this order, with the track built in each of those spaces, then it's going to be worth 3 points per city. So that's going to be worth 12. Alright. So yeah, that's... Oh yeah. Finally, there might be a card that has a card with a question mark. It lets you pull a card from the discard, use its action, and then that's it. You've used it, you don't get to use it anymore. It does get added to your train, I believe. You do have to pay the cost for the card as well. So you can only get a card if you can actually pay for it. And just like every new carriage, it'll go next to your tail carriage. Eventually, everyone will have done their actions, adding their carriage, taking their actions, and it'll be to a new round with the new events and more actions, more income. Eventually, the last round will be done, and it'll go to the final scoring. So the first thing you do before anything else is you look at where the tokens are on the station value track. And the furthest along token goes to the 6. Second one goes to the 3. Last one goes to the 1. Cities with a laid track with a station are worth points to the player that has those cards with that city based on the station value here. The station points. Cities with a laid track but no station get no VPs. And then a city without laid track at all is -3. Even if it has a station. So in this instance, everyone with an Osaka card is getting 3 points. Olympic venues. Each of the Olympic venue is scored separately. The player with the most flame cauldrons scores points based on the station. Based the same way the carriage is. As long as there's that station there, then it's with a track, then it gets those points. If there's no track, no points, or no station, no points, no track, negative points. And then there's the having your cards in order for your train. Again, it's 3 BP for making sure that the track is laid in that city. And the city is in ascending order. Finally, every flame cauldron you still have left over is -3. Because you're supposed to be preparing for the Olympics. What the hell are you doing still holding on to these? Every 3 yen you still have left over is going to be worth a point. And every track that remains on your engines is worth a victory point. If for some reason, despite preparing the ground, there's still track left, you get victory points. The most points wins. If there's a tie, the most flame cauldrons you still have left over wins somehow. And then there's no tiebreaker after that. There's a solo mode for the game that I've yet to mess with. I haven't played this game with anyone, so I'm not 100% sure if I like the game yet. But I do really want to try this out with someone. It's a lot of weirdness to this game because you gotta set things up and then make sure you follow through. You gotta prepare the ground, you gotta lay the track, then you gotta throw the station out there to make it worth something. Oh yeah, when you buy the station, you get the points. So obviously, the more high point stations are going to be out there first, and because there's so many points to get from the stations, it's going to incentivize a lot of early building. But at the same time, along with building the stations, you have to build up the value on the station value track. And then there's the whole Olympic venue thing of making sure these places have their track in place and stations there. And it's a valuable station, and that you're participating in the venue. There's the whole randomness of the events cards. There's like 6 different events for each color, and an entirely different set of events based on the number of players. All sorts of carriage cards. Oh, yeah, here's the other thing. When you get your carriage card, you push up the value of that station type, the station color, by 1. So there's another thing to consider in your strategy as well. Yeah, it's just a curious little development game of building the legendary train line for Japan. I know there's at least one more copy left at our store. So if this encourages anyone to pick that up, have fun. Yeah. Shinkansen Zero-Kei. I do plan to get to the Watch Me Play It solo for this one, and others as well. I'm sorry I've been kind of behind on content. I'm just been a little sidetracked with life, but I'm at this point where I'm looking forward to getting back into the groove of making my videos again. So look forward to that. Thank you for supporting the Pillar Loves Tabletop game series. Stay tuned for more episodes. This is Pillar, and I'll see you next time.